Give me that, hey, cause y'all ain't. Give me that, cause y'all ain't. Give me that, I gotta amp it up, cause y'all ain't loud enough. I gotta amp it up, cause y'all ain't loud enough. See, no, amp it up, it ain't loud enough. Been plugged in, I'm powered up. Got more time in, I'm houred up. Blessings coming down, I'm showered up. We got the fame in the name, yeah, you heard of us. Ways you can do the same, you ain't heard enough. We'll grab a seat, grab a plate, yeah, we serving up. Won't cost a thing, free game, yeah, we serving up. Yeah, amp it up, loud enough. 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 Amp it up, loud enough.
Because this young brother that I'm bringing up today will be dropping gems. He will be dropping gems, heavy, and he's going to give some insight to what it takes to be from this city and make it. Not make it in being the best in the city, but being the best in the world. This young brother started his career at an early age. I would say maybe 6 or 7. And at the age of maybe 9, I started working with him. And at the time, I was a high school math teacher, and his mother, I remember one time his mother dropped him off to the school where I worked while he did his homework in the back of the class while I taught my last period. And we went from the school where I was teaching to my house, which was at the time the recording studio that we worked at and that we worked out of. And I didn't understand how big of a star he was at that time. So when school was out, I like, Jake, let's go. We're getting ready to go grab your book bag. As we're walking out of the school, it was a middle school, because he was with me. I'm thinking about him as nephew, you know what I'm saying? But at the age of 9 or 10, he was a star then. So then when we got to working and we moved to Atlanta and we started working in the studio, he worked harder than adults. I used to work with artists, like regular artists that you see on TV, grown adults that did not work as hard as him as a child, as a young person. So the success that he has now is no surprise to me, because he had the work ethic of a grown man at the age of 10 years old. So I know now that he is actually a super grown man, that he works just as hard, if not harder, because he had that in him as a youngster. He grew up right here in the city of Milwaukee. You've seen this brother on films with Will Smith, Meryl Streep. I can go on and on naming the biggest cast members, but he's one of our own. And last time I saw this brother, he was being honored here in the city of Milwaukee, getting his own day, because he is well-deserved, and he shows what you can do when you have focus, work ethic, and drive, and you believe not only in yourself, but you also believe in your team. And his team has always included his mother. He had a mother who would do anything to make sure her son was successful. And with something like that, you couldn't have nothing less than this superstar I'm about to bring up to you right now. I want y'all to show some love for the king of the city of Milwaukee that I call Jacob Latimore. Y'all show some love.
What's up, y'all? Thank you. King. That's
the
crazy.
king.
That's a lot right there.
I'm giving it to you, man. They don't want to give it to you, but I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you.
Man, Jake, thank you, man, for taking time. Right now, he's currently filming The Shy, but this was his day off. So he decided to grace us with a couple of hours of his time, which I know is very valuable, man. First, Jake, thanks for coming, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Man,
it's good to be back.
Yes, absolutely, man.
I was down the block.
Up the road. So listen, man, I want to start with the young Jacob, man. The Jacob that was wanting to be a music artist, a music star, because I want to show the transition. So as a youngster, man, you grew up with your father and uncles showing you the music game, which I know was an inspiration for you as a child. Talk to me about what got you outside of your family doing it. What also clicked with you in that space, in the space of music as a child?
Yeah, I think it wasn't forced on me. Music wasn't forced on me at all. It was just in the house. It was in my household. So when my dad and my uncles were signed, we would see these limousines pull up like in the hood. And they would get in the car and drive away, and I would see their music videos. I would see them performing on news outlets. I remember even going to some of the concert venues with them, and I got little memories of those things. And I remember just trying to sing in the rehearsals with them. They like, Jake, we trying to rehearse. But they like, he just a kid trying to sing. But when they would go away, my grandmother and my grandfather and just different members of my family would be like, yo, he actually his voice is developing. It's sounding good. Like, and my dad kind of started just grooming me a little more, really just taking me into the studio, because I don't even know if like my dad was even wanting me to do it, but I think he saw that I loved it so much that he was just like, bet. So he wrote me my first song called Best Friend.
Best Friend, yeah.
And I remember I recorded the record, and I was trying to sing some of the notes, and I felt like I kept messing up. So I started crying in the studio. And I think at that moment, he started to see the passion I had to want to get it right. You know what I mean? And he was like, Jake, it's all right. It's good. It's just, we just start over and keep going. And the booth was always hot and just, I ain't like it. You know what I mean? It was like, I was like, I want to get it right. I ain't singing the notes right. But I just started to craft and develop and just kept going at it. You know, I think every time I failed, I just got back up and kept pushing. And then YouTube was like a big, like how TikTok is for kids now.
Yeah.
YouTube was that for me. Like I had to post something every day. So I started with covers. Covers was like kind of how I started in the living room. Before I had my own records, I was performing to empty couches and had a remote in my hand as if it was the microphone, singing B5. B5 was one of my favorite groups. B2K, like all these Fundamental 03, the London groups. So yeah. I'm like, and then by the time I actually got in the studio, I was like, wow, I actually can record my own record. So I think that record, Best Friend, that my father wrote for me, I ended up wearing the T-shirt of the single cover on to school at recess. And that's how I started promoting myself. Like, I'm at recess, like, yeah, this is my song right here. You want me to sing it to you? You were my best friend, thought you'd always be my best. They like, oh, he crazy. And then I have my friends acting as security guards when I come out from recess. The little third graders be chasing me. It was cool. So I just started where I was. I didn't really think about the world. And I think this year has been I've been really reflecting, because I just kind of kept my head down and been working for so long. Like, I really just started to look back at some of those YouTube videos in my room. I'm like, man, I got a lot of content up. Like, it's just, like, my little solar system wallpaper in the background, or just me and I just really was putting in that work. But I didn't think it was work. I was just kind of just doing what I was doing. And as I meet different celebrities, and at this time in my career, like, I went to Chris Brown's 11/11 tour in Chicago, and he was like, bro, like, we've been watching you since you was like this. Or I ran into Kalani. She said, we had posters of you on the wall, and I didn't think like I was making such an impact. Right. And so that's such a impactful thing for me, because you guys may be following some dreams right now. You may not think you're making an impact, but you are. You inspiring so many people. You don't even know it. And I think I didn't have that. I don't know. I wasn't thinking that way, you know. But it's cool to see as I grow. So many people was watching those YouTube videos. So put yourself out there. Put yourself forward. And I think that's what I take away from just my youth. Really, I was just brave. I was brave.
Facts. And another thing that I always remember, you would even study. So we would be in the studio, and while I was fixing his vocals, he would have YouTube up, and would be studying whether it was dance moves or different runs or different things from artists that he enjoyed.
YouTube University is it.
Yes.
It's it.
And cause that reason why I remember Fundamental is we was recording a song or something, and I didn't know who obviously I was older guy. I was
Fundamental is a group from London, by the way, but
right.
they're not together no more. But they were like heavy on YouTube, heavy.
And I never heard of him. I was introduced to him by him, and he was at the time maybe 10 or 11 years old or something like that. And they had like a certain dance move or something. So while I'm with my back turned, he's on my laptop. I'm on my regular computer. He behind me dancing, doing the moves off of YouTube. So, and I noticed him doing that quite often when we were in the studio, which then didn't surprise me when he became the total package of an artist, because he didn't just study the vocals of the artist. He studied how they were interacting with the crowd. He studied how they commanded the stage. There were elements that this was a child noticing these things. To me, it was like a reincarnation of Michael Jackson. Because when you hear stories about Michael Jackson, that's what he did. He would study James Brown and those different artists coming up. And this is what Jacob was doing. I remember, matter of fact, Chris Brown, when you were a kid, y'all were backstage at Summerfest at one point. This is when he was first getting in the game. Yep. But he was studying these individuals and studying all aspects of them and each part of them. So from one artist, he might take the vocal part. From another artist, he might take the dancing part. For another one, he might take how they commanded the stage. And I think it showed that you had passion for what you were doing at an early age. So to hear you describe your start with YouTube and things of that nature, your own way of having social media makes complete sense. Now, going into when you got your first record deal over at Jive with Wayne Williams and them, what were your thoughts? Like, when he got his deal, we all thought we made it too, by the way, for the record. Because you got to realize we were all at my house recording records, and he was going to dance rehearsal, and my house was like,
we went from recording in house studios to real recording, right. SSL boards. Like, we like, what? So.
Yeah, so we thought when he got a deal, we thought we all made it, even though we knew it was him. But when I say we thought we made it, this is what I mean. So we don't feel like there was entitlement. That wasn't the case. We felt like whatever he needed to be successful, we were there as the adults, whether it was myself, Cersei, TC, Shay, Milton, whoever it was, we all was figuring if he make it, that's going to put a spotlight on the city. So our goal was to make sure whatever Jacob needed, we were there to be of assistance. And when you first got your deal back then, what was your thought process then? Because you were so young, but you had to fill big shoes at a young age, man.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a big accomplishment, but I think my mindset at that point was it's time to even go harder. I think that's where my mindset was then. So we was just locking in the studio. I was working with so many different producers and writers, and then I would see other artists in those same studios. They like, yeah, Chris Brown working at the studio next door. I'm like, what, for real? Can I go over there? I would try to say what up to different artists, and but it was just dope to just kind of be amongst like-minded individuals, and even just moving to Atlanta. Being in that space, meeting Jacquees early on, meeting Issa, and meeting all these different young, hungry people who were just pursuing their dream. And I think the deal, like at that time, I didn't really think of a big deal like that. Now I'm like, that was a big deal. You know what I mean? But at the time, I was so in the moment, like, all right, but I still ain't where I'm at. I still ain't where I want to be yet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm signed to this label, but I still got to do my YouTube videos. I still got to put in the work. I still got to work out, rehearse. I still got to go to, vocal training. Like, it was really just locking in even more because the stakes were high. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, it's like I can't go. I don't want to go back. Like, I want to keep going. You know what I mean? And I think when you get that far, you just like, I want to make it. I want to make it. So just to see how that experience has like rehearsing in empty living rooms turned into actual crowds, the manifestation was just like, whoa, like the power of the tongue, man, like really focusing and setting boundaries and not kicking it with certain people who ain't where you thinking like it was all real. It was all real, and I think I'm definitely like a living testimony of that. Like when you really lock in on something that you love and you passionate about, the doors will open and it'll just you'll start to see it. It's amazing. It's been amazing.
Yeah, man. What I want to talk about now, take a quick pivot. Yeah. Let's talk about your mother, bro, because that woman will go to the ends of the earth to make sure you was successful.
That's my mom right there, yeah.
Y'all give her some love. Y'all give his mama some love.
No, yeah, my mom was like, she'd be like, no. No. There was some deals that came to the table, people that wanted to sign me, people wanted me to be a part of their artist groups and all this, and my mom was like, nah, I ain't going, you know. And luckily I had a mother that was in the business already. She knew how record labels work. She you know, she was in these buildings. Like when B2K would come to Milwaukee, like she was the rep. Like she moved them around the city, make sure they got to the radio station. So I'm with my mom, like watching her do this stuff, and I'm like, what is going on? Like B2K was my favorite group ever. You know what I mean? So and to see them now, they like, man, we remember you when you was a kid. Like we remember that. So that was dope. So just luckily I had a mother that was just really in it, and a father that was in it as well.
Absolutely.
So it's that helped. That played a key role, and I don't know what I would have did without that kind of support. Like I would have been. I think I would have still made it. But it had just been different.
Facts. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because we have parents watching or that's in the audience that have children that have dreams. And to me, what you can't do, which is what I saw Tish did not do, is she did not let the failures and things that she may have experienced in her life affect her son by having putting her fears onto him. She felt like whatever he wanted to do, I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but we going to make it happen. And I want to encourage parents to do that. Now, mind you, his mom's going to come do one of these to give y'all the game of what it was like her coming. But I had to at least give you a little preview of that because I think it's extremely important that this young brother, probably because as talented as he was, like he said, would have made it. But there may have been some situations or deals he may have taken that may have taken him off course, or maybe have pulled some creativity that he consistently continues to grow in that he has now that he may not have had he not had a mother there standing for what she knew was best, not what she thought or what she assumed because she did her homework from being in that space. So if your kids are interested in whatever, it is your job as a parent to try to become more than a novice at whatever it is they're trying to do. So when opportunities and situations present themselves, you'll know how to protect your child. Because at the end of the day, adults will use your child to make money for themselves if you're not being the covering for them. Y'all feel what I'm saying out there? All right. So now, you got your deal, you moving around, you doing your tours. I remember you start taking acting classes. So that's when I'm starting to think, is that when the acting bug start getting to you?
I remember the first opportunity, I was here in Milwaukee. I think they were auditioning for The Lion King. Simba, I think it was young Simba or something like that. And I remember looking at the script, and I remember being like, I don't want to act, you know? Like, I don't want to do that, man. I'm going to do this music thing first, then I'll do that or whatever. But moving to Atlanta, my mom was just like, yo, like, music ain't going nowhere. Like, you can still do music, but just, you know, expand your territory. And as I started to get in those acting classes and seeing other young actors and doing improv and actually I'm tripping. My first acting class was here, First Stage. Is this First Stage still going on?
Yeah.
I was at First Stage. First Stage was definitely like after I would leave Elm, I go straight there. I think every Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And I was in there. My mom would come in there. They had the parents watching, and my mom was laughing. I'm like, well, she laughing. I must be good. You know what I mean? It must be good. So fast forward, the Shy now is like just seeing where acting has taken me. Like, definitely, like certain doors will try to open and go through them. You know what I mean? If my mom wasn't in my corner, I probably would have just been like, nah, I ain't acting. You know? But acting has really changed my whole brand, and it's expanded me in new territories. Like, I'm such an actor now. People don't even know I do music. Like,
Right.
they like, oh, when he started singing, they're doing their homework. They're like, oh, he been doing this since he was a kid. Like, oh, I'm just now figuring out who this Jacob Latimore guy is. So it's just the journey and the work ethic still continues even at this point. You know what I mean? Because there's the success you reach, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And I think acting was just another way for me to express myself. And I just found it very natural too. I found it to be the lifestyle of it to be very disciplined as well. Like, you got to show up on time, 5 a.m. call times. You can't be late. Like, if you late too much, you get in that call and you fired. Like, they not playing. You know, like, you can show up late to your music video set or whatever, and as an artist, you're going from city to city to city, venue to venue, club to club to club. I'm in Chicago for 4 to 8 months out the year. Stay put. You know what I mean? Like, my life is a little more, I could say, just structured on the everyday level. Like, I'm working out, I'm rehearsing, I go to set, that's it. You know what I mean? I might record a little bit in between, but more than anything, it's pretty, like, and I'm happy that acting has done that for me, because sometimes I'll be looking at other people on tour like, whew, man, I gotta really get my mind ready to go city to city for 40 days straight. That's a lot. I'm so used to just chilling in one space for 2 months or 3 months at a time. So acting is definitely just it's a totally different lifestyle. You know, like, I can't go out to the party at the clubs every night and getting drunk or whatever. It's like, I can't do that because I got a 6 a.m. call time. It allows you to be a little more disciplined in my personal life, I think. And it's been therapeutic in my personal life, and it's also just been really fun and challenging, like working with a guy like Will Smith and just seeing his leadership at work. Like, obviously he's a great actor, but the reason he stays hired is because the off-camera work. He comes in the room, shakes everybody's hand. Like, it was just like, he just command the room, and he talks to the writers, and he acknowledges the other actors in the room. It's just, and I was happy I got a chance to see that, because we were filming in New York, this film called Collateral Beauty, and just to see that power of fame, like, and I had to ask myself, I'm like, boy, how famous do I want to be? Because this crazy. Like, he couldn't go nowhere. He just couldn't move. Like, it was just like he had to get in the SUV just to come to set. Like, I walked. They hey, Jaden Smith. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Jacob, but it's all right. You know what I mean? So he was that famous. So everybody around him, if it looked like anybody in his family, they think it's his family. It was just, and I had to really get my mind ready for what my future was to become. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and knowing what the things you ask for, like, you gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad I got a chance to witness it. And I'm glad he was such a mentor for me in that space during that time. And just to see his star power, man, like, he was really, like, signing autographs, say my lines to me, and then wave at fans, and then talk to the director. Like, his awareness was, I couldn't fathom it. Then he had to shut down restaurants to eat. Like, he was like, yeah, we got to shut it down. Like, you know what I mean? So just to see that was just incredible. And I'm happy God is showing me, like, what I want before I get it. to be like, look, this is how you do it. You know, and I'm just happy I've had good mentorship and good just other leaders in my life and other areas to help guide me, because this acting thing is different. Like, I may sit down at a restaurant not thinking this person watches what they watched, and they're like, hey, man, you're from that movie or that TV show, and you're like, oh, because I'm so used to my demographic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not used to somebody from Thailand or whatever saying, like, oh my God. And now I'm like, oh, wow, this is expanding in a way that music hasn't expanded for me quite yet. But it's like, you know, it's just I'm learning, and I'm getting my mind ready for, you know, that what I want. You know what I mean? Like, you want big movies, but you also, it comes with fame. It comes with people being in your business. It comes with not that much privacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm a little more private with social media now because of that. You know what I mean? So it comes with so much, and it's gonna be some things you like, and it's gonna be some things you just don't like. You know, and you have to kind of deal with those things.
Yeah. How in that, how do you deal with, you know, the blog saying this about you, or they'll see you, it could be me, you, and somebody we know that's a young lady sitting, all of a sudden, they're not going to make it my girlfriend, they're going to make it your girlfriend. They're going to be like, Jacob was sitting with his security, it's me. I'm obviously not a security, and his girlfriend, but it'll be just us kicking it like on some regular. So how do you deal with stuff like that?
All that stuff is, I'm just happy I went through even just small stuff like performing at schools, right? Like, if I'm singing to the girl, it was always some dudes in the corner that didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I used to actually go to these schools around the country. They used to call me all type of stuff. I mean, like, you singing that? You singing, nigga? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would hear all type of stuff. And I'm just happy I went through it young. I'm like, as I'm singing to a girl, I can hear cuss words, anything. Like, they really, and it became like a real spiritual battle. You know what I mean? I'm happy my grandfather, you know, he always had me in church. You know, he always like build my spiritual game up. So I had to realize, like, man, along this journey, everybody is not supporting. Like, they not. You know what I mean? They really want to see you fall. They can't wait. They really praying on it. So I just had to really just lock in on just my vision and my goals, because and you gotta take social media breaks sometimes. Like, social media now is crazier than when I was coming up.
Yes.
So I'm happy I just went through like small stuff like that young, you know, and I think it definitely shaped me and molded me to just kind of not subscribe to it. You really just can't subscribe to it. Like, even responding, you have to check yourself, like, hey, why am I responding to this message? Like, all these positive messages, oh man, we love your music, but you see that one comment, you just feel like you want to respond. And now, we were just talking about this, as when you become a light, you shine more light on the hate. So you gotta be careful about what you pay attention to, because it's all type of stuff gonna throw themselves at you. You know what I mean? It's been some things that was on the internet, and I'm like, no, I need to speak up about it. They like, well, if you speak up about it, now the whole world gonna know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's billions of people in the world. You got 1 million followers, but only 1,000 people talking about this. And now you about to make 10,000 people know it. So it's just, or a comment, and now you on the blogs, and now you on live cussing somebody out, and you off track of what God got for you. You know what I mean? Because he didn't say it was gonna be easy. He ain't say it was gonna, like, everybody was gonna support you. You know what I mean? So I think it's been really just incredible to just kind of pass that down to even some of my younger castmates on the Shy, because this is their first opportunities really shining in their city too, and they dealing with social media and Twitter and the show, and we're playing roles where people think that the roles are really us. Like, I'm Emmett, but I ain't got no kids.
Right.
I go home, my home is so quiet and silent. I ain't got no, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I go on set and really tap into a whole character, and I had to even check myself. Like, I'm like, you not Emmett, Jacob. Like, come on, man. Like, tap out. Like, like, let Twitter say what they want. That's crazy. Yeah, Emmett be going crazy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You be really, like, yeah, Emmett be going crazy. You know what I mean? So you really gotta really just kind of lock in. It takes really, like, taking up your space, and even you might lose some friends. You know what I mean? It's like, it's real. It's real, and it's they say it's a lonely process. I don't think it's quite lonely. I just think that you actually end up meeting the like-minded individuals when you get there.
Yeah.
You know, like, now when I go to parties, I don't even bring people. I don't bring an entourage. I'm like, all the people I know and I respect are gonna be there. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need to bring anybody with me. It's like, because you just start to realize your circle is becoming the like-minded individuals that, you know, that you relate to. Whether it don't have to be music or television. It could be, if you're a lawyer, you want to go link up with other lawyers. That's what we talking law. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. So it's like, you want to be around your community, and I think the lonely part comes in where you feel like some people in your friend group when you was coming up, you may outgrow them, and it's not personal, and they may outgrow you. It's just like it's not personal. So you just gotta definitely know that you gotta trust God. Like you gotta really trust God that this journey you're on is your own, and you gotta love it. You gotta fall in love with it.
So when you in the process,
I might be rambling too. Sometimes.
No. You on point, and you're directing me into the questioning. So in that, when you were doing your acting, your first, I remember, I think I could be wrong, but I think the first thing I remember you acting in was Vanishing on 7th Street or something like that, right?
Yep.
Was that the first big film thing?
Yeah, but that was my first film. Before that, it was a TV show.
Yep.
Called One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill. Yep.
I think they went like 6 seasons, 7 seasons, something like that.
So, how do you prepare as an actor for coming from a singer, because you're making your pivot to acting now? How do you prepare, like line memorization? How you your emotion that you portray? How do you, as a youngster, as opposed to now as an adult doing this, or seasoned veteran, what's the preparation for that in acting for yourself?
I think the preparation now is more so acting. You just got to keep living. That's what I learned. Like the more you live, the more you know how to tap into those roles. Like you got to just go try things. You go try exploring and with family, like, and sometimes God is so cold that He'll have that script really in line with what's going on in your personal life. So you can pull from that. As soon as they say action, it's you in it, you know, and you can just find yourself there. So that's been really incredible. But some days you may be going through some family issues. You may be going through something at home, and you got to come to set with big energy, and this scene requires comedy and all that. And you got to really lock in with your other castmates. I think it's about really just taking that time. I like 2 or 3 days of memorizing usually. Like it's been a couple of days where on the day the scene may change, and I'm like, okay, I'll run it with them. And the dope part about TV is that you can say cut and start over. You know what I mean? That's like performing on stage. It's like you gotta keep going. Like if you miss a dance move, boy, keep going. Like they didn't see it, you know. So, but on set you can say, oh, cut. What's my line? But you don't want to do that so much where you're like, did he even rehearse?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Did he lock in? Because it's gonna show to the writers, it's gonna show to the producers, to the people paying for the show. They like, hey man, we paying this guy a lot of money. It don't seem like he taking his role serious. And you'll start to see, like they won't talk to you about it. They're like, hey, we're gonna write you out of this, man. It was good. It was good, man. Thank you, man. We appreciate you. You're like, why? And you're like, well, you know, we just, yeah, man. It's just where we going in a new direction. That's all they say. You know what I'm saying? You're like, why?
Yep. No,
but you was kicking it. You wasn't locking in. Because if you can memorize a song, you can memorize a script.
Right.
It's easy.
Right.
When I realized, I'm like, I got 30, 50 songs out. I can memorize a script. You
Facts.
know, you just gotta lock in and really rehearse. Like it's not real rocket science. It's just it's boring. It's lonely. It's hey, I can't come out right now. Hey, bro, I'm busy. No, I can't go to the club tonight. No, I got a 6 a.m. and it's a monologue. And if I don't rehearse this, it's gonna show tomorrow, and I'm gonna regret it, and they might fire me. You know what I'm saying?
And we definitely not VIP.
And now everybody that loved you for that is gone. You start to see like, man, I wasn't on my P's and Q's. I wasn't rehearsing. I wasn't locking in the way I was supposed to. And most people don't understand the work ethic that goes into just anything. Like when you really want to be great at something, like it really is like it's an isolated process, you know. And a lot of coming from the music world to the acting world, like a lot of my music homies be like, man, pop out with us, bro. Pop out with us, bro. We got a show in Chicago. We got the after party. I'm like, bro, I came to the show. I say what up. I gotta go about my business. You know, I love you. you know, but that's just the life I'm living. So, actually, Chris said it too. He said, every time you kick it with it, you're like, oh, I got a 6 a.m. I gotta ride out. And I was like, yeah, that's really like the life, because I'll try to pop out, but right now I put the timer on.
Facts.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stand in there about 30 minutes. All right, that's how I pay. Hey, what's good? Hey,
then you gone.
More life, more wins. Wow, gone.
Yeah.
You know, because you gotta really leave. You gotta really go and lock in on your journey. You know, because you'll look at somebody else's journey and be like, oh, I want to tag along with that, but you can't, because that God got that for them. You know, you can't want what God got for them. God building something for you, and you missing out on your blessings by not really locking in on the things you're supposed to. So, just been really tapping into that as this show has been growing more, as I just been reflecting this year alone, just on my career and what I've done and grown, and just like some things that I got this year I wasn't ready for at 16. I wasn't ready for at 17. You know what I mean? Like, some things that we're asking for, God got the master plan and timing to set you up, but you can delay it, you know, if you don't lock in. Yep. he like, nah, you ain't ready.
Right.
Like, are you really ready to see $1 million in your bank account? Like, are you ready?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, do you have the right friends around you? Do you have the right spouse? Do you have everything takes into account? Do you know the right investments? You gonna blow it. You're going to blow it if you're not ready. You know what I mean? You're going to lose it. So I think everything in the time and everything in my life has shown me, like, you ain't ready yet, Jake.
Yeah.
You still doing that 2009 stuff. You can't take that here. Right. You know, so I think even now I'm still growing and learning about and observing so much about my life and friendships and family and all that as I'm growing, because just some people just can't come in those rooms with you. You know, if you don't see that growth in certain people, and you're just like, man, because it'll mess up what I got going on. Yep. Because everything around me is attached to my name. If I'm with an entourage of people, they get to fighting, they gonna say Jacob Latimore was fighting that night. Yep. I was not fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, absolutely.
So everything matters. If a guy is talking to a girl kind of crazy, I'm like, yo, bro, you can't be talking to her like that, because that comes down on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So everything got to be taken into account, because once that blog is up, it's up. Yep. Yep. It's up, and people gonna opinionate, and they gonna assume, they gonna call you whatever, and you got to deal with that. So it comes with so much responsibility, just being who you want to be, you know, and you got to really, set them boundaries. It's been boundary season.
Absolutely. And to that effect, when blogs put up things negatively about you, when it's corrected, the announcement of the negativity is not the same as when it's been corrected. It'll be a little highlight, oh, by the way, back when we told y'all this a month ago, this didn't happen. But then when it was about something that you did incorrectly, or the quote unquote you supposedly have done, when it was wrong, it's in huge letters. They posted 3 or 4 times. They'll post the apology so small and so fast, you don't even get that in return. So I understand 100% about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's you know, the acting world, like, it's just, you know, we want to be extremely careful. Like, and I'm still young. I'm single. The access. So I'm always checking myself every day. Like, nah, Jake, stay home. Go to the gym. Yeah. Lock in therapy, journal, write some, like, because you can have that free time, and you kind of feel like, oh, I can do this, I can move like this. Right. You know, you can't. You know, it's just and it's certain things I'm still learning. Like, man, I really can't be doing that. I really can't. I just can't. And I have to let certain homies know. And I don't. Sometimes they don't fully understand. Yes. Like, oh, bro, let's walk to Zara. Like, no. Like, nah.
It's gonna be a problem.
Nah, we can't just walk in Zara no more. And that's just. And those are the things I prayed for. I used to look at Michael Jackson landing at the airport, and I'm like, man, there's thousands of people at the airport waiting for him. I'm like, I want that. Yeah. But that's because Mike was rehearsing. Mike was locked in. He wasn't just. It comes with a certain walk, and when doors are closed, you know what I'm saying, and that work you putting in, will impact the world in such a way where people will react and feel some type of way. So this Emmett character has been incredible, and the show's still growing too. It's been incredible. Like some of the stories that people have about their own families and children and just fatherhood and playing a young father who's like trying to make it work on screen has just been really impactful. And kind of just learning how to be a father a little bit too on set. You know what I'm saying? Like being around the kids, I still get a little nervous. Like, cause I ain't got no kids, so I'm you know what I mean? But it's been dope.
So in that, I remember when the Shy first started, you weren't the main character at that point. And that was maybe season 1 and season 2, or
season 1, season 2. Yeah.
So then when the change happened from you being like in acting, it goes you a certain number on the call sheet. So at that time you was maybe like 3 or 4 on the call sheet.
Like 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah. So you go from being 3 or 4 on the call sheet to number 1 on the call sheet.
Yeah.
What does that require of you as an actor? So what it is like a promotion, ladies and gentlemen, that he moves up. As you move further up in the call sheet, your responsibility to that particular either TV show or film is greater. Mm-hmm. So what entailed in that move up?
When I got the call, I was just happy that I had some opportunities to be number 1 on the call sheet earlier on, like this film called Black Nativity. With Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett, or even just working with a guy like Will, again, just seeing like what the number 1 guy has to do, how he has to move, how he has to lead his cast and take over in that sense and be a leader and really just show by example. You know what I mean? More than anything. It just really I was actually just kind of relaxed at that point, because if I got number 1 on the call sheet on the Shy at 15, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just the timing of it. You know what I mean? But I'm happy that I got a chance to build. My career has been like a slow build.
Yeah.
Every year. Mm-hmm. Every year is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm just happy that nothing came too fast. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because one thing I want for sure by the time all this is done is that I want to keep my mind.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? My mind is like, what's all this if I can keep my mind, my sanity? You know, so I think that's been incredible. And it was really just, at that point, I just felt like I was already walking in it, you know? I was already walking in it. I was already kind of moving as if I was number 1.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I always just felt like no matter where you put me on the call sheet, when you see me, you gonna feel that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When I step on screen or when I'm in a scene with another actor, you gonna know, oh yeah, bro, you locked in. You rehearsed that, didn't you? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So I think that it was a good feeling. It was definitely a good feeling, and it just showed that, hey, like it'll be trials, but you just gotta keep going. God, what's for you is for you. You know?
So now, dealing with, because of the rise of your success, and like you said, it has been a slow growth, like a consistent growth, I should say. Yeah. How do you determine what roles to take and what roles you won't take? Like, what are some keys that you would give of taking a role outside of money? We know money, obviously, if they're not paying you nothing, you're not going to take it. But if all of the roles paid you $2 million a piece, why would you pick this role over this role or that role?
Right. I think for me, it's always been about longevity, and it's not really a right or wrong role or right or wrong movie. It's just about what do you want. Do you want to be an action star? Then you got to be in the gym. You got to be in the gym a lot. You know what I mean? You got to eat different. Holidays, you can't. You got to lock in. You know what I mean? It becomes. I think I ran into what's the guy that played Captain America? I ran into him in Atlanta one time.
Is it Momoa?
I forgot his name. He played Captain America. No, that's not Momoa.
That's the Thor. I'm trying.
But he was just like, yo, like I really gotta eat different all the time. I gotta stay locked in on this role because I'm Captain America. You know what I'm saying? Like, it becomes, it's huge responsibility. So it's really about what do you want. Like, and I'm shout out to my agent, Dan Kim. He really taught me how to say no. Because if it wasn't for him, I probably would have been in all type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, we from Milwaukee, man. We like, hold on, man. I ain't turning down that money.
Right.
Hold on, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't turning down nothing but McCullough.
You know what I mean? He like, I know it, the money's good, but the role, he said, we want longevity. We want impactful roles. Like, you don't want to be a part of that. And I was like, I don't? But he started to, and when I look back on my career, like, he found the movie called Slight that I did. And I was like, I wouldn't have thought to take this role. And that during that time, I hadn't booked anything that year. I was in LA, like, everybody was like, yeah, you're a star, but we're gonna go a new direction. Hey man, that was a good read, but we're gonna go. And I'm like, if it's a good read, pick me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Slight was one of those, the only things I filmed that year, and we filmed the movie for like, it was the quickest movie I ever shot, maybe like 2 weeks. That was a chance to really be a part of something. I was number 1 on the call sheet, but it was a real low budget. It was a creative script, and my agent just saw something in it. He said, I just think this would be a dope role for you. It's not a lot of money. I basically did the movie free, almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm in LA. I'm working. I'm just focused on the positive. That top of that next year, it went to a film festival called Sundance in Utah. So, and it's like all these different actors are there, all these different film producers are there, and I'm like, oh, this is a real community. Like, I'm really seeing the guy from Harry Potter just chilling on the corner, like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, I'm like, whoa, hey, what's up? I got this movie called Slight, man. It just got bought by WWE, blah, blah, blah. It's gonna come out next year. And then as soon as I'm there, I get a call from my agent saying, hey, man, you booked the Collateral Beauty with Will Smith. As soon as you get back from Sundance, pack your bags from LA, you're going to New York. So it was just all these things started to happen as I started choosing the right roles for me. Because they pay attention to what you say yes to.
Right.
You know, they like, because your value is like, it's like you wanna, what you say no to is like, no, I ain't on that.
Right.
And they started to say, oh, he said no. Like, he has he has value in his what he's a part of, what he's gonna be a part of, what he wants to see is longevity in his career. And the name of the game for me has always been just longevity. And when my agent kind of broke that down to me, I'm like, right. It's like, hey, I want to put out the right song.
Right.
I want to put out the right song. I don't want to put out a trendy song because the trends come and go.
Absolutely.
I want to put out a timeless song.
Right.
So I want to be a part of timeless movies. I want to be a part of timeless TV shows. And The Shy has been like one of those things that just culturally, we're going to look back and be like, oh, The Shy.
Yeah.
Everybody Hates Chris,
Yep.
Power.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just in that list of like really just black culture in television. Yeah. And I'm just happy my agent has really just molded me in my choices. So now I even got a better vision on what I want. Like, some stuff will come in the email and I'm like, nah, that ain't it. Like, that ain't it. You know what I mean? A lot of people was mad at House Party, but the script, I was like, what? The script cold. Right. I wasn't mad at, I just couldn't be mad at the script. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I knew like, hey, they not gonna really like this movie because it's called House Party.
Right? If it's called something else,
if it's called something else, I think people would have just enjoyed it a little more. But I also understand what time does.
Yes.
Over time, I'm like, it ain't gonna be hot right now.
Right. Like,
I just knew it. And me and my agent was like, it ain't gonna be hot right now. It's gonna be like later on. People gonna be like, hey man, that was a good movie, and that's what I've been getting. Later, like, hey bro, I checked out House Party. That was actually dope, bro. Right. I ain't gonna lie. It was a cool concept. Right. And I think for me, it's just really about focusing on the script, focusing on just the content of what it's saying, and the things I want to be a part of. I have been really more picky these days, just about everything.
So now, in acting in different roles you have, does the director, like when you're getting the roles, do you know who the director is prior to? Yeah. Which makes you go one way or another on a role, or Or by you knowing who the director is, does that help you pick the role or not?
Sometimes depends on. At this point, I definitely want to work with seasoned people.
Yes.
Because you just know if you're working with seasoned people, you got a better chance at winning at box office or getting the best deals.
Yes.
But I've also worked with new directors too. Like the Chi has brought on a lot of new directors. You know what I mean? So I'm happy to work with newer directors as well because they'll submit their shorts and we'll be able to look at them and we like, man, this was dope. You know, and we happy they working with us. So I look at everything. I look at who the producers are. I look at who the writers are.
Yeah.
Because it's important. It's like, because when that press release comes out, like I said, the industry watches your choices, you know? And I think depending on what you want, if you want to get in those certain rooms, if you want to work with certain guys like a Will Smith, they paying attention to your choices.
Right.
They like, I don't like his resume. You
Right.
know?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that may not, but you also got to ask yourself, do I want to be Will Smith in film?
Gotcha.
Because you could be, like, I ain't mad at, like, when people come to me about Tubi and they stuff and they tell me they business, I'm like, man, I'm not mad at you dominating Tubi.
Yeah.
Like, dominate it. You know what I mean? Because it's an audience. One thing I learned from Will Packer, he was just like, focus on audience. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a producer, you want to create your brand, especially during this time, focus on audience. Mm-hmm. Who is your audience? Who is your target audience? You know? Yeah. And I think it's all about what you want. And for me, when I saw Will, I'm like, I want to be Will. Mm. You know?
Facts.
I want to do big movies, big music, big commercials, high fashion. That's what I want. But it don't have to be what you want either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some people want to stay in that underground world, I know I met a lot of actors who just do a bunch of independent films a year. And they go to those Sundance film festivals and they stay low key and they do theater, and it's not about like big numbers and popularity and all that. You know what I mean? So, and I've also learned to tap back into the art more too, like working with theater cats. Like, there's a lot of guys on the Chi that do theater, and I've been in my play. I've been going to a lot more plays this past year.
Yeah.
And just seeing that, I'm like, man, I can see myself in a play too. You know, because I didn't think about it. I'm like, I do music, I sing, I could do a musical. Right. You know what I mean? I could go. I seen Ain't Too Proud to Beg. It's a Temptations play, and Temptations was like I watched that movie every day. So just to see theater cats like really lock in on stage, and even if they mess up, they keep going. I'm like, that'll be a cool way for me to get back on stage in a different way than just like performing my own records. But so it's all about what you want, and just attack that, and then don't compare it to nobody else.
When you're done, let's say when you're on your off time outside of filming, and you start to get into other business ventures, what things outside of the industry excite Jacob the businessman?
The thing that excites me right now is real estate. I love real estate. I mean, I think I've always loved it. Even when we was touring, when I was young, like doing the Scream tour with like Mindless Behavior and Diggy and OMG Girls, like we would always stay in these different hotels and different, Airbnbs or whatever. And I used to always just look at the drywall. I used to look at the windows. I used to look at how the bathroom was set up. I looked at the sink. I used to just pay attention. And I'm like, man, I want my own hotel one day. It just hit me. I'm like, I'm always in hotels. I'm always giving my money to a hotel. I want to be on the other end of this.
Right.
So and as I start driving past big houses in Georgia or out here in Milwaukee, and I'm just like, I want to say I own that. I'm like, hey, I want to do that. So real estate has been like a big thing for me over the past 5 years. Just really just being around, and I'm totally like green to it. Like I'm really diving in. I went to Ohio. This guy named Beyond Win. He does this infield training with the pros. And people were there like, bro, this is Jacob Latimore right here. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm here learning like y'all. Oh, right. Because I put my pride aside. I'm new to this. I'm doing cold calls. I'm walking through properties, seeing how much things cost, and evaluating stuff. Like, I'm I'm diving into something new. And I think ever since I opened the acting door, I've just been like, I'll never shut another door.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like ever. You know what I mean? And real estate just makes so much sense. And I think when it's all said and done, it's all about freedom.
Right.
To do what you want to do and do what you love. And I want to do well with my money. I want to like do things. I want to build an empire. I want to build a studio. I'm looking at 50. I'm looking at Tyler. I'm like, yeah. That's it. That's on the way. Like, I'm building my blocks. I'm 28. Oh yeah, by 50, what?
It's going down.
It's up. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So it's just I think for me, I'm just really just diving into just other things. I'm just not scared no more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The fear is just gone. Like even my mom was just like, you need to speak more. I'm like, I don't want to speak.
Right.
I don't like speaking. But you speak so well.
Right.
I'm like, all right, let me go speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm getting more comfortable with this. You know, I was nervous. Like, so it's definitely it's just another branch of me. You know what I mean? So when I look at a tree and I see all these different branches, like, oh, it's music, it's real estate, it's monthly income, it's like, whoa, like, because the industry just shut down. The film industry shut down for 6 months.
Yep.
Like, just shut down.
So now the actors don't have revenue coming in. Nope. But in your case, you got real estate. Now
music.
Your bills can still continue to be paid easily because you're not waiting for the next job because you got revenue, revenue streams coming in. So it absolutely makes sense.
And 50 Cent just said the same thing. He was just like, he said, oh, the industry shut down? I'm going on tour. Yep. Like, it ain't, I want to have so many different pivots because you can't control these big industries that we in. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, and real estate is just one of those things that's never really shutting down. Interest rates will fluctuate, but it don't really, as an investor, it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think it's been really incredible just to be around. Now I kick it with like real estate investors now. Like, that's like I call my guy. Like, yo, I'm in Chicago, man. Let's have lunch, or I'm pulling up to your event. So my friend groups are changing as I want to do certain things.
That makes sense, man. Is there a choice between music and acting for you? Do you prefer one or the other, or they have to go together? Not at this stage in your life.
At this stage, I definitely like the lifestyle of acting a little more. Like, it's just I'm in one place for a long period of time. I can make my space feel like home. Mm-hmm. City to city, you really got to get your mind ready to be on tour. You know what I mean? Because you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. You're dealing with a lot of fans, different cities, and you're tired, you jet lag, different time zones. It's a lot on your body, and you really got to prep for it. Like, tour is really like a month of locking in, rehearsing, working out, eating different. and a lot of that is applied to the acting lifestyle too, but you just a little more stable. Yeah. So right now, I definitely enjoy just being more stable, but I do love to get in front of my fans still. Like, I did a pop-up show in Atlanta in the last year that it was just refreshing to see my fans pull up for me again. You know what I mean? Because it was kind of, I was in that space. I'm like, do the fans still love me, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You ain't touring a while. You like, man, it might be like 2 people showing up. You don't know. But to see like a free show sold out, you like, oh, okay, they still love me. They still remember the old songs and remember that stuff. So just another thing, I actually turned down club offers for the past year. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like I was forcing myself in the club for some reason. Mm-hmm. Like, I was forcing my music in the club, and I'm just like, man, all my songs ain't even club records. Right. You know what I'm like? And my fans is not always in the club. My fans got stuff to do. Right. They got in school, they got jobs, a kid, all stuff. So I'm like, I just felt like that pop-up show I did just last year just really showed me, like, man, you really can just go to a venue and bring your fans, because at this point, I want to hear my song sung back to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I don't want to be trying to force some people in the club to rock with me at this point. You know, I'm like, if I got 1 million followers and I got my audience, that's my audience. Yeah. All it takes is one clip of 200 people singing your record. Now everybody else on board.
Yep.
And shout out to like the Brent Fayaz's and who else is like the Kalanis. Like they really building they got their fan base, and I had to tap back in with myself. Like, man, like I got fans. I don't have to go reaching for too many people when I need to support I need to be in front of the people that's supporting me.
Absolutely.
You know, and I need to give them opportunities to support me and come to the shows because they want it. They like, when you gonna do? A lot of fans like, when you going on tour next? I'm like, damn, you ain't want me on tour? Right. You know, so it's refreshing and it's empowering when you realize it. Like, oh man, like I can do these small venues, these intimate shows with 200 of my fans in 10 cities randomly every year. So I think right now I want to focus more on pop-up shows.
Okay. So
I don't want to do big tours, and going on tour is expensive.
It definitely is, and that's the part that people don't understand about.
Yeah.
And
my show is like, you know, I want
you do
dancers.
everything. Yeah, you wanted the whole.
I want dancers. I want a band. I want background. I want good lighting, and then outfits. Yep. You know, all that stuff. DJ, security, transportation, flights, all that stuff comes into account. So I think this time around, I definitely want to do more pop-up shows in random cities.
Yeah. And
just kind of like create these rare shows I do maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
That makes sense.
And they're like, oh man, like Jake got that show coming up. He don't perform that often. Right. You know what I'm saying?
So let's go catch it while we can.
It's gonna catch on. Yeah.
That
so
makes sense.
I think that's where I'm at with it right now.
Before we wrap up, what are some of the regrets, or I won't say regrets because that's a bad term to use, but what are some of the mistakes that you may have made in your career that you wish that you would have maybe handled different or wouldn't have made, I should say? I don't know if it was considered a mistake or regret, but what are some things you would have changed if you had the opportunity, if you can go back in your career, that you would?
Man, it's tough because I feel like everything I went through kind of shaped me. So I never really, my perspective, I guess I can never really think of a mistake because I never really thought of mistakes as mistakes. I'm like, oh, I just learned the lesson real quick.
Yeah.
And I never stuck on, if I messed up or on something, like I never stuck on it too long.
Okay.
I never like just dwelled on it. You know what I mean?
Memory.
So
yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh, I'm just learning. And it's a new space for me, duh. You know what I'm saying?
Up, yeah.
I'm going to mess up. And I think I was also very just protected, too, as well. Sheltered. Like, you know, my mom, Circe, everybody there's a lot of people that wanted to sign me.
Yep,
you know, there's a lot of people that wanted to sign me. Like, and just looking at the landscape now, I'm like, man, thank you, God. Like, everything I needed was right there. I didn't need to go, you know what I mean? And I think that's such a word. Like, a revelation this year is just like, man, like, I didn't have to do that. I'd be thinking like, oh man, I should have signed with this dude. We should have signed with him. Looking back, no.
Yeah, it worked out, right?
No, like I'm freer. I have more control. All my money's coming to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I ain't no third party, fourth party, ain't none of that. So it's just me and my fans. That's what's dope.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the freedom every artist want at some point. That's why we go sign with a label, for real. We go sign with a label to get our fans to be independent eventually. You know what I mean? So I think that's always been the goal. And yeah, so looking back, it's hard to say mistakes. It's more so just like I learned a lot of lessons.
I got
for
you.
Sure. Like maybe I didn't put out the right song, or maybe I didn't roll that out right. Maybe I should have shot that music video a little better. But hey, you know what?
It is what it
is. A hit record and make people forget about the old record.
Absolutely.
Quick.
Yep.
A new movie and make people forget about the old movie. You know what I'm saying? So I never really dwelled on it too long, and I'm like, I'm young. Like, I'm still young. Like, just chill.
That makes sense.
And it ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? So I think just don't beat yourself up too much on your journey. I think that's advice I've gotten. And give yourself grace. Like, you stepping into new territory. You're not supposed to know. Yep. But the thing is, you want to surround yourself around people that made a lot of mistakes, and seek mentorship, seek education. Because you could be putting in so much work and being such a passionate artist that you forget to learn about the business.
Yep.
You know, and I think I just said, I'm like, it ain't nothing worse than being famous and broke.
Ooh, wait. Everybody gonna notice you, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely a pull on your spirit. You gotta really put your pride aside and say, hey, you know what? I actually didn't take time to learn the business. Let me use this leverage and this fame I got to learn the business so I can capitalize on the people that support me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's just been a big learning lesson over the years.
And you spoke about this earlier about mental health, making sure that you are up to par with your mental health. What are some of the things you do to make sure that part of your life? Because in my generation, it was like go to church, pray, blah, 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 blah. That was the thing for your quote-unquote mental health.
That's still very much so a part of my lifestyle as well. You know what I mean? I think I'm tapping into sermons every day.
Right.
Sunday is just too far away. It's
Right.
too far. Like I'm dealing with too many spirits every day to be waiting on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's honestly, it's becoming like a morning routine at this point. Like I might be jogging on the treadmill, listen to a sermon, and then I started therapy about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So no, a year ago. So that's been incredible too. Just kind of learning why I do certain things, my patterns, or some things I may have been avoiding or I wasn't aware of that was in my childhood, or, you know, and all that stuff. So I think it's definitely important because I spend so much time playing Emmett. I'm like, who is Jacob?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What Jacob going through today? You know what I'm saying? And luckily it's been therapeutic in some ways on the show, where I can come to set with something that's on my chest that's actually on the paper.
Yeah.
Which makes it, and that's the beauty of having a relationship with your writers too, because they can peep it.
They can see what's going on.
They can peep certain things. They like, hey, we see you going through that. We gonna give you something. You know what I mean? So
right.
I think that's definitely a beauty in that.
That's what's up. And in closing, as we get ready to close, what are some keys you would leave with the audience today about becoming successful in whatever it is they try to do?
I think first is to just really check yourself. Like, are you getting up every day locking in on what you want? Like, looking back on me being a singer and being a musician, like I didn't have no fans yet, but I was like, I'm about to post these YouTube videos. Hey.
I guess this is outside, I guess.
What's that? Okay. But I mean, you know, we like, hold on now, what's that? But I think I had to really check myself just about certain things. Like when I got into the real estate space, I'm around one of my real estate mentors.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna buy one of these properties. I'm gonna do it. You know. He said, you bought one yet? I was like, nah, I ain't did it yet. What you waiting on?
Right.
Like, he almost was annoyed. He was like, why you telling me you gonna buy stuff? Like because he's such an action-based person.
Right.
And it just tapped me into like, what are you doing? Are you really tapping into it? Like if you really love, I don't know, like I said earlier, being a lawyer or being a reader, or if you want to read more, I don't know. If you want to learn, you want to become a better speaker. Are you reading more?
Right.
Are you like? It's just certain things you gotta do.
Just do it, yeah.
You gotta do. You can't overthink. I was talking to a friend. She's like, I want a model.
Right.
I'm like, you don't post on social media.
Right.
You don't do nothing. Like you start where you at. You comparing where somebody else at. It's an easel on Amazon for about $20. Show the link. Put the camera up. You can start in your house. It ain't.
Absolutely.
It's no excuses, especially now.
Exactly.
Like,
You're right.
You had to back in the day. We had to get in the streets. We had to go pass out flyers and put it on people's cars and put a poster up on some side of some building. Like now, you can really put yourself out there. Ain't no excuses. Like it's in YouTube. It's been like a huge space for me. Like with real estate. I'm like, I ain't bought no land yet, but I'm like, if I would have just bought land. I didn't know. I watched this YouTube video. I sent it to my mom too. I think I sent it to you. I was like, it's so much that go into buying land that I ain't even know.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I would have just been like, oh no, I'm gonna just buy this land, not even knowing that land is, as soon as it rain on that land, it's sinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta test the land. You gotta mineral rights. You might be oil under there. It's all type of variables that go into just buying this piece of grass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you go into it thinking it's easy because you want to take shortcuts. And God will show you, hey, take a shortcut.
You lost that money quick.
Take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom. Money gone. Investment horrible. But you learn. And if you could take that learning lesson and be like, all right, let me take the steps in learning before I actually just do this. You know what I mean? And I think that's the big key. Are you learning what you want to do? Like, are you really learning? Are you surrounding yourself around people? You don't always have to know your mentors.
You're right, exactly.
I got a bunch of mentors on YouTube. They don't know who I am. They don't.
Yep.
They don't know I subscribe, comment, look. I'm one of their biggest supporters.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact, though.
When it comes to real estate, I'm tapping in, credit people. I'm learning about different nonprofits. I'm learning about all the stuff I want to do. I'm like, I got to learn it. I can't just do it, you know? And you got to be patient with yourself, too. Like, I think social media got us thinking it's happening overnight. Like,
right.
I've been doing this since I was 6, 7. I'm 28. Yep. I really just now feel like I'm getting this like a new momentum is coming. Like, you feel me?
Yep.
And it's still the beginning. So you gotta really take your time. Take your time and just know that you got time. You got time to learn it and apply it and do it, because that's the only reason we rush. We want it so bad, but you ain't even ready for it.
That's a fact. And another thing is what people got to understand, and I always tell different writers and producers this, because when they ask me about things, is that you can't skip steps. Do not take the elevator, take the stairs. Because when you take the elevator, there's floor number, you go on to floor 18, and you taking the elevator straight to floor 18, but there was something you were supposed to get on floor number 7 that's going to help you on floor number 9, that eventually help you on floor number 13. Yep. Then when you get to 18, all of those combined help you on 18. So you got to make sure that you take the stairs in your careers. There's nothing wrong with skipping literally. Instead of if it's 10 steps to go to the next floor, you can go from step 1 to step 3. That's just the step, but you didn't skip the entire floor. So make sure that each and every step of whatever it is you're trying to do, you take those, because those are opportunities for you to build yourself, which is what this brother has done. I've watched firsthand him taking everything from the music industry and noticing the pitfalls in those industries and staying away from them. So because the music industry it may be bad, but it ain't nothing like Hollywood. And if you want to get your career to end quick, go in Hollywood, like Jacob said, and act a fool. I'm talking about it be grand opening, grand closing in minutes. So
agents walk away from, lawyers walk, because the thing is they have policies. They not, hey, we can't attach ourselves to.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you got to respect it.
Yes.
You got to respect it. And you got to check yourself. Like, I don't want to be a part of nothing that ain't respectable. Yep. I don't want to be around friends that ain't respectable. Yes. I don't want to be around family that ain't respectable. All this stuff, you got to take into account your circle and where you going, and realize that, hey, where I'm going in this place, I can't take you with me because I don't feel like we on the same page. It's all love, though. I love you. You know what I mean? Right. And that's when you may lose some people. Yeah. You know, and that's be the toughest part. So your journey is gonna be, it's gonna feel lonely, but it's not lonely, because like I said, when you get there and you get to those rooms and those places, you're gonna find those like-minded individuals. Like, I got so many actor homies now. Like, it's like, and I just to see, like, randomly just see my guy. Y'all seen Supercell? Yep. Supercell, like Tosin. I met him in Chicago. He was filming something called 61st Street. We did a house party, and I'm just happy for him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's from London, but, hey, London got hood too.
Yeah, absolutely.
London got a hood too. You know what I'm saying? He come from, I went, he was like, yeah, brother, we call it the ends. The ends. Like, we call it the hood. They call it the ends. I'm like, what, the end?
Like, it's over with.
I didn't want to go to the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just meeting like a Damson Idris and seeing their journey, because their journeys are similar to mine. You know what I mean? They made it was just a little bit different, but they started in theater It started right where they was. You know what I mean? And then that big opportunity came where they were ready for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's incredible just to meet people along the journey, because I literally he invited me to his birthday party, and I don't really pop out like that.
Right.
You know, at this point. So I'm like, hey man, I'm about to fly. I'm flying to LA because it's one of them rooms I want to be in.
Right.
I see Melvin Gregg, I see Damson, I see D-Ray, I see Kevin Hart, I see all these people that are in my industry, in this game that I love, right? And it made that flight worth it because it was purpose in it. It's like, hey, I want to be in a room with people that motivate me. When I see they work on TV, or it make me want to go back to work. After that birthday party, I went back to work like, man, I just had that. It was just refreshing. Yeah. You know, and I think, it's just surrounding yourself. It's all about community, you know, and if it'll always start out, the people around you in the beginning may not be a part of your community when you get to that point.
Right.
And you may be blessed to have some, you know what I mean? Like LeBron
he got his
people.
Yeah.
But it don't always work out like that.
Yeah. But in his defense, in his I'll give him his credit. Yeah. What he did was when those individuals that are around, they weren't around just to be around. Yeah. They were around for a purpose.
Right.
And to me, you have to make sure you have people who are around you for a purpose. A lot of times we get in these situations and we have people in our lives or that are around us in a circle that are just around for the announcement part of us, but they're never around us for the investment part. And you can tell Maverick and Rich and all those cats were around at the investment stage of LeBron before he became the biggest star in the world. And you want those kind of people around you that are around for the investment part. So when it's time to make the announcement, we all know what we're celebrating about. Yep. So make sure you keep those kind of people around you, because it'll keep you moving forward in a positive direction. And just like Jacob said earlier, the people around you, if something now these guys are individually, Maverick and Rich, they're big enough when something go wrong, it'll be just them. But there was a point in time, if they did something crazy, it would be blamed on LeBron. But this was prior to them being who they are today, who we know them as. Yep. So you got to make sure the people that you have around you have a purpose for whatever the brand or the platform that you're building. Yep. If they don't, like he said, you can still have friends and not be with them every day. So I agree with you 1,000% on that, man. Yeah, Listen, we've taken enough of your time, my brother. You've given us so much, man, in this hour and a half that we've been sitting here having this conversation. It's amazing to me the growth that you had. Just from the kid that you were to the man that you have become, man, and it's an honor to have played a tiny role in that, bro. And I would be remiss without saying that not only the city of Milwaukee is proud of you, but Keisha and myself are extremely proud of you, man, and what you've become. And how every time somebody mentions you and they don't even know I know who you are, they say good things about you. And that's when you're not in the room. It's easy to talk good about you to your face, but they say this about you when you're not even in the room. You're in a whole other state. So continue the great work, man. I want to thank you so much for your time. You didn't have to do this, but you wanted to come show love. Y'all know it costs a lot to get Jacob Latimore in the room, right?
No,
y'all do understand that, right?
That's crazy.
Okay. But when you got relationships, it may not cost you as much. So instead of paying $100,000, I made it a little less than that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to sell my kid at home. But listen, for all you who came out to see this gentleman, this king, share this knowledge with you, I hope you were able to grab the nuggets as he was dropping them, because he was dropping a lot in a short amount of time. And he gave you the blueprint of work ethic, of how his work ethic has been since he was a child and how it is now as it has grown as a man. And I hope you've taken this to heart. And if you haven't gotten everything, you can go back and rewatch this to make sure you got what this young brother has said. In closing, I always say this: there are opportunities you take, there are opportunities you miss. All opportunities are not attached to money. So if you know that opportunities may not be attached to money, you will take chances at things that may not have paid you what you were deserved or what you may have negotiated. But what it did was it took you to the next step. Like Jacob said it before, this film led him to this film, which led him to the next film. So if you believe in understanding the ability of picking opportunity, what you're trying to do is make yourself a master decision maker. And in making yourself a master decision maker, you then begin to make yourself be able to have longevity in what you are doing. So in closing, I want to say to you, thank you for coming out. And one thing about a dream, it never expires. Peace. Y'all be blessed.
Love, love.